weekdays at 5 on ESPN Cleveland 101.3.
From the Kia of Cleveland Studios, this is ESPN Cleveland 101.3, WCLE HD2 Cleveland, W267BI Cleveland, ESPN Cleveland 101.3.
The top of the hour is presented by Best Buy Metals, making the top of your house the best it can be. Visit bestbuymetalroofing.com.
It's time for The Drive on ESPN Cleveland 101.3, presented by Hardees. We will bring you nonstop sports news from the national and local scene and everything in between. So buckle up and join in on the conversation. It's The Drive.
Don't take no style. Got a thirst for killing. Think about it.
Welcome back into The Drive here on ESPN Cleveland. I hope everybody out there is having a good Friday. And, man, it's finally here. It seems like it's been a month, but it's only been a week and a half. Well, actually 2 weeks. But we finally are here. The first game of the college football playoffs is tonight, coming up in about 3 hours. Of course, you can hear that game right here on ESPN Cleveland. Or if you're in your home and you have television and you have the ability, you can watch that game. It's going to be on ESPN. But, man, Alabama at Oklahoma, I love it. It's finally here. And I'm all about it. By the way, we want to take this time to make sure we let everyone know that the bowls and the playoffs here, anytime we talk about them, it's sponsored by Nissan, Mountain View Nissan, and we really appreciate those guys allowing us to talk about these games and sponsoring all this stuff, because the postseason, it's a special time. Even though college football playoffs is new, I mean, it began in 2014, expanded to 12 teams just last year. It seems like it's part of the college football's the fabric of college football now. Maybe is it a good thing or a bad thing? Because literally it's talked about from week one all the way through the end of the conference championship games. It's all about positioning yourself to make it to the playoffs, and only 12 teams were able to do that.
Yeah, I think we're in a really interesting place in college football history. It's almost like not a limbo land. Like, we're in the settling phase of what the new age of college football is going to look like. I don't think that we are quite yet to the place where it's going to be solidified. I think the next time they either expand or change the format, I think that's probably going to be it. I think that'll be the last time that they really choose to expand past a certain point. I don't think that they're going to go, from the BCS to 4 to 12 to 16 to 24. Mm-hmm. I think whatever they decide on this next go around is going to kind of be the de facto. I hope, anyways.
Well, I don't know if you know this, Jacob, but the original 4-team format was supposed to go from 2014 to 2025.
Yeah.
Obviously, it went from 4, expanded from 4, added 8 more teams to get to 12 last year. So they didn't hold to what they said they would. I remember hearing them say, "Listen, it's locked. We're locked in at 4 teams till 2025."
Yeah,
and they changed it because there was so much pressure on them.
Well, and I think they're going to get it again. I think they're going to get the blowback. And to be honest, we've talked about it on this show before. I do think there's a way to make bowl season more watchable now. Because we're looking at the screen up there right now, and we're watching NC State versus Memphis. Mm-hmm. And I'll be honest, there's no excitement like there used to be for me when I would turn on. I used to love, filling out my little bowl sheet.
Oh, I did too. I used to do that big time, predict all the games and kept up with all this stuff. And
and we would see who won the most bowl games at the end of bowl season.
They still have that. Was it Bowl Challenge Cup or something like that?
And I can't really get into it.
I can't either.
I enjoy when my team is doing. I get to watch who I think is going to be on the field next year. Because guys have made their decisions whether they're going to play, whether they're not. For the most part, who's going to be on the field for you next year, and it's almost like a spring training game, or like a spring practice game. But if we were to expand and I was very against that at the beginning of this because I was sitting here thinking at the very beginning of this, what 24 seed is going to win the college football playoffs? It
just seems almost laughable to even consider it, but
yeah. But could a 24 seed upset a 5? Like it could happen.
it could,
or like an 8, like something like that, and that could be exciting for just that week. Ultimately, I think the dust will settle and the best team will win. I don't know how I feel. I do know this: bowl season has lost its luster. I want it to come back somehow, and I think that they could fix it by adding some of these playoff games and it being and you have a differing opinion. You think that they should be on campus.
The reason I think they should be on campus because I'm looking out for the fans' experience. I get the going to a bowl game in a warm weather side. I get that, but the cost you're asking fans to shell out money for a plane ticket if they're more than 1,000 miles away, getting a hotel room, watching their team play. Then doing it again in a couple weeks, and then doing it again in a couple weeks. It starts to take its toll financially on the average fan. The well-to-do guys and the high-end donors, there's no big deal for them. They can do this all day long. But I'm talking about your average blue-collar worker that really loves his team and he wants to go watch them play. It makes it really difficult.
It does, but I will say this: even in this bowl format, when I went to the national championship game, I chose to not go
in Indianapolis.
Yes, I chose not to go to the Orange Bowl because I really wanted to save my money to go to the Natty. But another example is when we went to the Rose Bowl, tickets were only $250. They weren't outrageous because it was halfway across the country. It was getting a ticket, like a plane ticket out there. I've joked with you and told you I almost took a train out west to try to get out there. But to me, that could be a fan experience. You just choose to go to one of them. You don't have to go to every single one.
And it's picking and choosing. And listen, I know that last year and I can look at it from the Ohio State perspective because that's the team I follow. And I know when Tennessee came to Columbus last year, basically a week ago today or tomorrow, the big thing was Tennessee was going to take over Ohio Stadium, okay? They did. They put about 30,000 fans in there. There was a lot of orange in Columbus. But the philosophy of a lot of the Ohio State fans, granted, they were coming off a very disappointing loss to Michigan. Okay, there was a lot of, here we are, guys. We're not. Do we have the right coach and all this stuff? They were questioning the team, but a lot of the fans were like, I believe we're going to beat Tennessee. And they felt strongly that Tennessee does not match up well. I want to go to the Rose Bowl to get the rematch with Oregon. So a lot of the fans gladly let Tennessee have those tickets. They wanted to because they were bound and determined to go to the Rose Bowl in Pasadena. Well, Ohio State did get revenge there. They beat Oregon. Then you had to consider, all right, do I want to go to Arlington to watch the Cotton Bowl against Texas, or do I want to save up my money and hopefully go to Atlanta for the national championship game against whoever we're going to play, which ended up being Notre Dame. So there was a lot of decision-making by some fans, and the ticket prices were pretty darn expensive in those bowl games. The Cotton Bowl was very expensive because you had all these Texas Longhorn fans there in the state of Texas wanting those Cotton Bowl tickets. It drove up the price big time.
Yeah, bowl tickets are pretty expensive. I'm not going to disclose how much I paid for my Natty tickets. They weren't. I'll just say this: they weren't cheap.
And you were sitting in the upper deck.
Yeah. But and a good thing is in those NFL stadiums, there's not a bad seat.
And they got great replay screens and everything.
And so it was again it's hard for me because I also love the fact I saw a stat, or not a stat, a report that Ole Miss is expected to generate $74 million worth of revenue
for that city, the city of Oxford.
For the city of Oxford, just for the Tulane game, And so, from that local business side, I would want I'd want to host a play. You know what I'm saying? Like I'd want to host a playoff game.
And that's what these bowl cities love. Like Tampa, they love the ReliaQuest Bowl. Orlando loves the Citrus Bowl. All these bowl cities, like Nashville, they got the Music City Bowl. They love having this because it does generate a lot of money for local businesses, and the economy is helped.
Yeah, you're talking hotel prices, food prices, parking, all of that. It generates revenue for the city, and so, I look at it both ways. As a fan, we're going to expand. It's going to happen. We're going to do it one more time, and so like I've almost kind of settled with it. We watched it happen I always forget the league, and I always feel bad that I forget it. But what was was it D2 that did the 16-team playoff for years?
Yeah, well, the FCS, which is the FCS, which used to be 1AA. Here's the thing, in case you don't know, Division I football subdivided in 1978. Okay, you had Division I, Division II, Division III. Division I subdivided to Division 1A, Division I AA. Well, then they changed the name to FCS, which stands for Football Championship Subdivision, and Football Bowl Subdivision, because the big boys played bowl games, not playoffs. The name really doesn't fit anymore. But that's what it is. It started in 78, but you're right. They started with 16. Now they're up to like 24. Division III has like 33, I think 34 or 32 teams. They've expanded theirs even more. So yeah, the playoffs have been going on in those leagues since the late 70s.
Yeah.
And here it is, 2020. I consider 2024 as the beginning of a true bracket, because from 2014 to 2023, it was just 4 teams. Can you call it playoffs? Technically, yes, but 4 teams is an awfully small playoff bracket, if you ask me.
Yeah, and I don't know that you're going to get, like, the Music City Bowl is not going to, like, adopt a bowl game at Neyland. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was thinking of how can you make these bowl, maybe they could still sponsor the game, but be at,
I thought about that.
Like, on campus.
Why couldn't some kind of a sponsor? Why couldn't it be the Nike first round game at Outson Stadium between James Madison and Oregon? A local big time sponsor a first round game. Obviously, we don't have that, but I was thinking that the other day. I was like, I wonder if there's ever going to be a sponsor of these first-round games, because all the bowl games after this, they're all sponsored.
Yeah, and so, like, maybe there's a world where you do that, and, I don't know. I do feel like we're going to expand. I know we kind of got off on a rabbit trail there. We started with Alabama and Oklahoma.
And we're going to get into that game. Jacob, I've gone back and forth. I was just on the mix with Steve Hartline, talking about I'm going to be doing a remote tomorrow. We talked about the playoff game. Steve was asking me about it, and I told Steve, I said, when this game was first mentioned, the matchup first came about, I was like, yeah, I think Alabama's going to win this game. I think they're going to get their revenge. And then I started thinking, but Oklahoma's playing at home, and that defense, and Alabama can't run. Then I started leaning towards Oklahoma. And just in the last day or so, I'm back on the Alabama side. I'm like, I just think Alabama's going to find a way to get this thing done. I don't know how you're feeling. This is a hard one for me, man.
Yeah, no, I've gone back and forth, too, just because, again, Alabama has been on such a slide at the back end of the season. Like, I can understand why fans are upset. Like, I understand why fans are upset that Alabama got in and that they lost the game and they moved up in the rankings. I get Andy's frustration.
I do, too.
I get BYU's. I get all of them.
I do, too.
I understand.
You understand, because when Georgia got left out in 2023.
Bro, we won 29 games straight and lost the SEC championship by 3 points and dropped 6 spots. God. 6.
Yeah, I remember. You're not the only Georgia fan I know. A lot of people I go to church with, I saw them the next morning, and they're like, I think we're going to make it. I think they won't leave us out. They won't leave us out. And sure enough, they did.
They did. Ooh. Well, and it was either you put us and Florida State in, or you leave us and Florida State out. That was that. And what happened was they left us and Florida State out. And I'll be honest with you, I think Georgia would have won 3 straight national championships. I do. I think you get a healthy Brock Bowers, you get a healthy Ladd McConkey back after that SEC break, and let them rest for a month and then play those games. I think we win our third.
Let me ask you this, and I have never asked you this: the Sugar Bowl last year, where Notre Dame beat Georgia.
Yeah.
That game was pushed back a day because of that terrorist thing. The 15 people lost their lives on Bourbon Street when that guy drove his truck all over these people and everything. Do you think that affected anything? Do you think Georgia would have played better had they played that thing on January 1st instead of moving it back January 2nd? I don't know if you know this, but the attendance, over 10,000 people didn't show up for that day because people had flights. They had to get back to work, and they couldn't stay. And the attendance was like, instead of like 67,000, it was only 57,000 people showed up at the Superdome.
Yeah, no, not only was Notre Dame a championship caliber team last year, like they were super good. They had the Jimmies and Joes. They had the defense to back it up.
And Georgia was, let's be honest, Stockton didn't have any experience.
No,
very little experience.
Well, your playbook's cut in half.
Yep.
What you're able to do, and like what you ask Beck to do versus what you ask Stockton to do are very different. I don't know if you can tell, Georgia's offense from last year and Georgia's offense from this year look completely different on what we do. A lot of screen passes, a lot of deception. Like one of my favorite plays in that Alabama game is we ran that dump screen over to Zachariah Branch multiple times. Well, he pumps those shoulders, turns around, and there's a tight end leaking about 25 yards downfield. Gets us inside the 10. A lot of that eye candy with this offense. They just asked Carson Beck to go out and be a natural passer.
Yeah, your traditional quarterback.
Yeah. And then with Gunnar Stockton, you've got the run wrinkle. It was a completely different team. I think Notre Dame was the better team last year. I do.
And sometimes matchups just favor one team over another.
And then add on top of that Kirby Smart's dad fell while he was there, and then ultimately ended up passing away a few days later. I just think there was a lot around that game that was out of the Bulldogs' control, but Notre Dame was the team that was going to win that regardless.
Do you feel better about Georgia in 2025 than this time last year?
I'll be honest, man. I think Georgia is playing the best football in the country right now.
I do too. They're peaking at the right time.
Yeah, if they can stay healthy, and if they can win that Ole Miss game, I think we have a good chance of tumbleweeding all the way into the championship.
From my perspective, the Ohio State perspective, I'm curious as how the Buckeyes will play against the winner of the Miami Texas A&M game. Do they go into that game ticked off, kind of like they did last year when they played Tennessee? Then he went on that roll last year. They got on that roll. Is this a team that can go on a roll? The one thing about Ohio State 2025, they don't have the running backs they had last year. There's no Junkins. There's no Travion Henderson. That's the one area that Ohio State is just not as good as they were last year. Defensively, they're better.
Yeah.
Offensively, passing-wise, they're just as good. Running the football, that's the one thing.
Well, and then the story really is going to be, we're going to watch all these first-round games, and then I don't know if you remember, but a lot of people that had a bye did not do very well.
No, I know. Well, every one of them lost. All four teams that had buys. Now, obviously, the teams that got the buys last year were significantly worse than the four teams got by this year, because this year they went straight seeding.
Yeah.
Number one seed gets by 2, 3, 4. Those four teams get the buys. Last year, it was because, you're the conference champion, you're a conference champion. That had been like Tulane and James Madison getting a buy this year, in essence, although only one of them would have. But, Ohio State wouldn't get a buy because they didn't win their conference this year. So you would have had teams like that would be playing either tonight or tomorrow.
Yeah, and so it'll be interesting. I'm excited for tonight's game. I don't know how I feel about it because we talked about that tumble and that slide, and I just don't know how healthy Alabama is. I don't.
Well, the running back's coming back. Jam's coming back.
Jam Miller's coming back.
He's coming back. He's supposed to play tomorrow,
and that'll help them in pass protection, and that will help them in the passing game.
They're not going to have negative 3 yards rushing.
No. Well,
I am very, very confident in saying Alabama's going to have positive yardage rushing. I'm not saying they're going to have a boatload, but they had negative 3 against Georgia in that SEC championship game. That was the most un-Alabama looking team I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, and a part of that was them not having their stable there. A part of that also was just the fact
Georgia's defense they just came to play.
Yeah, and so I think there's a chance that you could see Ryan Grubb get in his bag and just have a night, as the offensive coordinator, really get into his bag and have a performance, his offense have a performance. The problem is I know Oklahoma's defense. I know what I'm getting out of them.
Does it matter? And listen, I know we got to hit a break, but does it matter that Alabama and Oklahoma have had this much time to prepare for each other? Alabama's seen Oklahoma once. Now they know what to expect from that defense. Can they exploit it? And obviously, Oklahoma's had time to, check out Alabama too. I'm really this game. I cannot wait for this game. I'm so looking forward to it.
Yeah, I think it's going to be. I think because Alabama's has a really good defense as well, folks. I know we just watched Georgia put 28 on them, but let's think about those 28 points that Georgia put on them. It was after a blocked punt. It was after an interception, which
short field.
That interception, they still had to march from the 40 on after the face mask penalty.
Oh yeah.
Then they had one pretty decent drive, and then their nail in the coffin was when they went for it on their own 12-yard line.
Oh yeah, that was it. For sure.
So they've got a solid defense.
This is going to be a low-scoring game.
I will be shocked. And that's normally how these things happen. Like, we're going to say it's going to be a low-scoring game.
35-31, yeah.
It's going to be something crazy.
I know. Let's go ahead and hit our first break. When we come back, we're going to get into this Alabama-Oklahoma game. You're listening to The Drives, presented by Hardees here on ESPN Cleveland. We'll be back after this.
The Drive will be back after a quick timeout. Stay tuned for more nonstop sports talk on The Drive, presented by Hardees.
Right now, someone in a Hardee's kitchen is about to warm up your winter with the new grilled cheese bacon burger. Charbroiled 100% Angus beef, bacon, and Swiss and American cheese melting on our soft, buttery sourdough. And our new grilled cheese breakfast sandwich with sausage or bacon and a fried egg. Cozy up to the goodness of the new grilled cheese bacon burger and breakfast sandwich. For a limited time, only at Hardee's. Cinnamon Raisin Biscuits are back. Unwrap them while you can. Only for a limited time at participating restaurants.
Get your New Year's Eve fireworks at Davenport Fireworks, where everything is half price. Everything. Davenport Fireworks, located on Dalton Pike at the state line. Everything is half price. Happy New Year from Davenport Fireworks.
Don Ledford Pre-Owned Automotive Center in Cleveland is having their annual year-end savings event during the entire month of December. You'll get tremendous year-end savings on over 75 of the finest pre-owned vehicles you'll find anywhere. We have your favorite pre-owned Chevrolet and GMC trucks and SUVs on sale. Plus, we have over 40 of the other most popular brands to choose from, like Ford, Jeep, Nissan, Toyota, Kia. You name it, we probably have it. Don Ledford Pre-Owned Trucks and SUVs in Cleveland is the dealership to go to if you're looking for quality, variety, and a dealership you can trust to back up every pre-owned vehicle they sell. And they've been doing it for over 40 years. Go online to donledford.com and review the vehicles you're interested in, and then visit our showroom at 4595 North Lee Highway in Cleveland to inspect and test drive your choice. You'll get a great deal during this annual event. Don Ledford Pre-Owned Automotive Center, where we say yes. Hurry, this sale ends January 2nd, 2026.
Hey everyone, Nicole Mooreshead with Hardees here, and on behalf of all of us at J&S Restaurants, we just wanted to wish you all the goodness of the holiday season. Stop in a Hardees near you today to try our cinnamon raisin biscuits or enjoy the festive Holly Jolly Sparkler.
Not all composite decking is the same. Enjoy life's beautiful moments on an equally beautiful composite deck. Envision's products feature deep, non-repeating grains and distinct colors throughout each pour, offering a truly unique appearance unlike anything else on the market. Learn more and find inspiration for your project at Cleveland Plywood. Cleveland Plywood Company, 2700 20th Street Northeast in Cleveland.
Get your New Year's Eve fireworks at Davenport Fireworks, where everything is half price. Everything. Davenport Fireworks, located on Dalton Pike at the state line. Everything is half price. Happy New Year from Davenport Fireworks. Welcome back to The Drive, presented by Hardees. Join the conversation. Text 423-749-1013. You can also listen anywhere on our website, ESPNCleveland1013.com.
Duracell in Cleveland is now hiring mechanical skilled technicians, $22 to $27 per hour. Excellent benefits beginning day one: medical, dental, vision insurance, paid vacation, holiday pay, 401k, tuition reimbursement, and more. Apply now at Duracell.com. That's Duracell.com. And of course, yesterday we had a truncated show, and man, I had it in our notes to get to this story that we're going to go over here in just a minute. But time just got away from us yesterday. But right when we were going on the air yesterday, came the news about a very bad tragedy that occurred that affects a lot of people in the NASCAR community. And Finish Line Radio wants us to read a statement that they prepared about this tragedy that includes the entire Biffle family. And Jacob, you're going to read that statement.
Our hearts are heavy as we mourn the tragic loss of Greg Biffle following today's devastating events. Greg will be remembered not only for his fierce determination behind the wheel, but for his incredible heart off the track. His humanitarian efforts, especially in the wake of the Western North Carolina hurricane disaster, left a lasting impact on countless lives, a true reflection of the man he was beyond racing. Our prayers are with the Biffle family and everyone affected by this heartbreaking loss. Rest in peace, champion.
Yeah, that was so sad about what happened yesterday. And like I said, I had it in the notes. And next thing you know, we were at the end of the show. We could not go any longer. We had to get off when we got off. And it was right there, right in front of me. And I'm like, well, we never did get to it.
Well, I'll be honest, with airtime yesterday, like we only had about 10 minutes of talking.
I mean, honestly, we really did.
About sports.
But, man, it's so sad because Greg Biffle lost his life. His wife, Christina, their 14-year-old daughter, Emma, and their young son, Ryder, they were all on the plane. The entire family wiped out. I cannot imagine what, all the grandparents and all the brothers, sisters, and everyone related to everyone, how devastating that was, and what a sad situation to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And, something that I love about NASCAR, like genuinely love about NASCAR, I've kind of gotten back into the sport in the last 2 or 3 years, is it's kind of like a little community, like a little family.
It really is.
You might dislike a driver. Like, I don't like Denny Hamlin. Like, I'm not a Denny Hamlin fan.
It's good to have someone like that in the sport, though.
My driver won the championship, and I felt bad because Denny Hamlin should have won it and finally went over the hump. Like, people have so much respect for each other. Fans have respect for each other. And so hearing about this, I know it's going to affect the NASCAR community, and I'm sure they're going to find a special way to honor him and his family this next upcoming season.
By the way, Biffle was named one of NASCAR's 75 greatest drivers in 2023. That goes to show this guy was, listen, so when you hear the name Biffle, you automatically think Greg Biffle. I don't know of any other Biffles in the whole world. I'm sure there are some, but I've never heard of another Biffle. So that's one of those names that kind of stands out. When I saw this yesterday, I was like, oh my gosh. Because at first it was like, it was his plane, but they weren't sure who all was on the plane. And then it came out that his entire family was on there. And I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's devastating. Absolutely devastating.
Do you have an all-time favorite NASCAR driver?
Oh, yeah.
Who is it?
The Intimidator.
Dale Earnhardt.
Yes. That's what I was born and raised on, man.
I was the anti-Dale Earnhardt.
So were you a Gordon fan?
Jeff Gordon, man.
Yeah. And how great was that for the sport, though?
It was.
Like, you talk about, and I loved, because Jeff was just up and coming. And now it's funny, now I followed somebody that's on Hendricks Motorsports. But Jeff Gordon was just like such a young cat. And I loved going back, like now that I'm older, like watching the videos of Dale Earnhardt sending him bottles of milk instead of champagne because they said he was too young to be able to drive it.
And the hardcore Earnhardt fans, they could not stand Jeff Gordon.
No.
He didn't earn it. He didn't earn it the hard way. He didn't come up through the ranks like you're supposed to go,
One of my favorite stories is Jeff Gordon is talking about Dale Earnhardt and they're racing, and Jeff is talking about how he's gripping the wheel so hard that like his knuckles are turning white. And he looked over, and Dale Earnhardt's got one hand out the window and one hand on the wheel, and just kind of nods at him.
Surprised he didn't have a cigarette.
Yeah, and drives on. And I think they had a mutual respect for each other.
They did.
But they were fierce competitors, man. So I couldn't stand the Rainbow Warrior in that 24 car.
And I'll tell you what, the way the fans, and here we are getting into NASCAR. I can't believe we're getting into NASCAR today, but the way the fans and the drivers interact with each other, they really do rub shoulders. And there's a real serious connection between the fans and their favorite driver, because the accessibility to NASCAR drivers is much greater than it is trying to introduce or get in touch with a Major League Baseball player or NFL football player, because there's always security that does not allow that. In NASCAR, it's encouraged.
Yeah, and can I? I'll just say this, and then we can move back on over to college football. Okay. I have loved going to races. Me and my dad are trying to go out to Vegas this year. We're planning a trip during spring break. I'm going to try to go to the Vegas race. But something that I love about it, I'll be honest, like I don't enjoy going to Neyland Stadium, like as a Georgia fan, because I get heckled. I'm not a heckler. Like even if you come to Athens, like I'm not going to heckle you. But it's becoming so common in college sports that like you heckle the opposing fan base that's there. You give them a hard time. It's just becoming more and more common. At NASCAR races, it's like one big fan. Everybody's cheering on their driver, and because there's so many different drivers, unless you just don't like Ace, like there's people that don't like Kyle Busch, and they get some sign language as Kyle Busch drives by the track. But outside of that, like everybody's just kind of like there and supporting their driver. And like I remember a dude behind me, like at the Talladega race, his driver won, and I turned around and gave him a high five and said, "Dude, I bet you're so excited that you got to watch that in person."
And the thing about NASCAR drivers too, or NASCAR fans, is the loyalty to the brand of vehicle that their favorite guy drives. And if you're a Chevy guy, you hate Ford and you hate Toyota, and vice versa. It's hilarious. Yeah. I know people that they would never ever drive a Chevy truck. They're Ford F-150 guy because they're Ford 100%. That's all they'll ever buy, and that's just the way it is.
Yeah, like when Toyota came in.
Oh, we're a foreigner! I can't believe we're letting them foreigners into NASCAR. I'll never forget that.
Yeah,
man.
it was a big spiel. But man, it's been such a fun experience, and so I really hope that NASCAR finds a way to honor Greg Biffle and his
I'm sure
family.
They will. I'm sure they will,
because that totally devastating what happened with them for sure.
And of course, we love those guys at Finish Line Radio, and we wanted to let them express because they're not having a show these days, and I know they would love to have a show. I'm sure they could probably do a whole show on Greg Biffle, if they wanted to. But anyway, all right. So, by the way, let's go ahead and give some scores updates. Earlier today, Western Michigan defeated Kennesaw State 41-6. Jacob, it was 27-0 in the first quarter. That game was over in the first quarter. And we've got this game going on right now where NC State is just toying with Memphis. Is it still 31-7?
It is.
So it's 31-7. It's in the fourth quarter. I mean, this game's over. Listen, I just pray that the playoff games are more competitive than this. I would hate to see Alabama or Oklahoma just blow out the other one.
Yeah, what's sad is like tonight's game I think will be competitive. But tomorrow we're just gonna watch, and that's what the whole two P5 schools. Like I hate it, but that's just the reality that we live in. I think Oregon's going to absolutely dominate JMU. I think Ole Miss is going to come out really salty and dominate that game. There's a path for Tulane to win. It's very, very, very slim.
Very, very, very thin. Here's the thing. For Ole Miss to lose to Tulane, Ole Miss is going to have to play not a B game, but a C game. And Tulane's going to have to play an A game. Yeah. They're going to have to turn the ball over, have a ton of penalties, just do everything crazy for Tulane to have a chance, because the line of scrimmage is going to be dominated. That's the thing. It doesn't matter about the skill positions. We know that Oregon and Ole Miss are going to dominate the line of scrimmage against James Madison and against Tulane. That's just the reality of it. They've got skill guys. But where their quarterbacks have enough time to throw. Maybe they'll have to throw some wrinkles in there, some, crazy, misdirection type plays. they're going to do some, crazy things, in my opinion, to win the game, unless the opponent, being Oregon or Ole Miss, just literally hands it to them on a silver platter.
Yeah, I think there's more of a path for Tulane. Like you said, if they play their A game, and for some reason Ole Miss comes out and plays their C game, there is a chance that Tulane walks away with that. I doubt it, but there's a chance. And I'll be honest with you, with Summerall having one foot in the door and one foot out the door, I think it's going to be really hard for them to be completely focused on what Tulane needs to do.
Yeah, because he's got to build a roster in Gainesville.
Yeah.
I mean, here's my thing. What Ole Miss did to Lane Kiffin, said, no, you're not coaching. That's how I would do it if I was an athletic director. If I was at Tulane, Summerall would not be coaching his team. That's just how I feel. Now, a lot of people disagree with me. Obviously, Tulane disagrees with me. I like the way that Ole Miss is doing it. If he's committed to my team, he wouldn't have taken that other job. And you're now an employee of the University of Florida in my eyes.
Yeah.
You go ahead and you go to Gainesville, get your blue and orange on, and start doing your thing down there. We're going to get someone else to coach the guys that you recruited. I get that, but I'm going to get someone else to coach them because you've left, and that's how I feel about it.
I know it's not a lateral move in the sense of, like, obviously Lane Kiffin thought that this was like a step up in whether it be facilities, whether it be resources, which are all true.
Historically, it is a step up.
Historically, like it's a step up, but that's more of a lateral move, in my opinion, than a Tulane to Florida.
Oh, that's a massive upgrade.
And
there.
I think Tulane knows that.
Of course they know that.
And so, that's why, I'm okay with him coaching at Tulane. If you're Ole Miss, you look at that as, dude, you're going to somebody that is going to be on our schedule next year. You're not you are not coaching for this team. You're not.
Well, James Madison's coach, he's going to be the coach at UCLA next year too. And they're letting him coach it as well.
Yeah. So with those smaller P5 schools, I am okay with it. I'm fine with it. You run some risks there. He could take some of his favorite players from Tulane.
Listen, what was interesting last year, and even this year's Indiana squad, has several former James Madison players on that roster that they can play. I mean, I don't know how Signetti got some of those guys to play or come on that roster. Get on that roster, because they really do have. They really did have some dudes that can play. Most of them played last year and graduated last year. There's still a couple still on Indiana's roster this year that came from James Madison too.
Yeah, there are athletes everywhere, and sometimes guys get lost in the weeds.
Well, those are the ones that are entering a transfer portal right now.
And nowadays they absolutely are. North Texas's quarterback supposedly is going to be a hot key mark.
He's the number one quarterback. He was a leading passer in all of FBS football in 2025 as far as total yards.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Aguilar at Tennessee.
Yeah.
There's more and more stories like that where you're able to start lower and work your way up. So it'll be interesting. Focusing on tonight's game, I just have so many, I know what I'm getting from Oklahoma. I'm going to get a dominant defensive performance, and I'm going to get a lackluster offensive performance. That's why
what happened to Mateer? He was so hot in early September before he got his hand hurt, And ever since he's come back, didn't he come back in the Texas-Oklahoma game? When that Red River rival, when he came back? He hadn't been the same guy since.
No.
And I know the competition has been more intense, no question. But, man, he looked like a Heisman Trophy candidate.
Yeah,
and then all of a sudden he's just another guy.
Well, and that's what I think it is. I think normally those first couple games of the season are not super heavy hitters normally.
That's true. That's true. But they
they're-
did play Michigan, and they looked good. He looked good against Michigan.
Yeah,
he really did.
Yeah, but I mean, as we can tell, Michigan had their
they had their issues.
Yeah, they had some things going on behind closed doors that were a little distracting, to say the least. But I agree. He did look good against Michigan. Michigan ended up 9-3, and so that's a quality team that he beat. I don't know. I just think that once he got into SEC play, the hand, all of it, it just kind of started tumbling, and he's just so far this year he's just an average guy.
But they're sitting there 10-2. They're in the playoffs, and they listen.
They're 10-2 because their defense is one of the And here's the thing: this is not like one of those years where like last year with Tennessee had a very dominant defense. It's kind of like that. That's a good example. They're kind of like Tennessee last year. Nico was good enough to win you games, but your defense is what carried you. Your defense and your run game is what carried you all year.
The running game for sure.
Yeah, they had one of the best running backs in the country last year. The Vols did. So,
now here's an interesting thing. Not many teams have an advantage over Alabama all time. Oklahoma is one of them. They've played 8 times in their history. Oklahoma leads the all-time series 5-2 to 1, and Oklahoma's won 5 of the last 6 games. That is something to think about. Because you just don't see many teams that have an all-time advantage over Alabama.
And then what is the stat for the first time in 150 years?
Alabama has never lost to the same team twice in one season, although that was disproved.
Was it?
Yeah, back in like 1890 something, maybe 1880. I don't know. Some small school beat Alabama. They played them twice in the regular season, and they beat Alabama twice. Somebody looked that up and thought, wait a minute, that's not true at all. So Alabama has, in fact, lost to a team twice in the same season when they scheduled. It was like a teacher's college in Alabama beat the Crimson Tide back in like 1897 or something, some crazy stat like that.
And then back then, like 32-year-olds could play.
Oh yeah,
could play football.
You ever looked at some of the all-time games from teams? You would see colleges playing high schools. You'd see them playing, deaf schools and stuff like that. And I'm like,
yeah,
really?
no,
I mean, those games still count on the all-time ledger.
Michigan's 1,000 or whatever. A lot of people have all these games that are circled that were against like high school type of.
But all schools have got those.
Yeah, they do.
They really do. Some have more than others now.
I went and looked. Georgia has some. They all have. They all have some. But yeah, no, it's interesting. And then my grandfather played at Bradley High School back in the 50s, and he talked about when they would play Chattanooga Central, like guys were coming home from like the military and all of a sudden back in high school. And
you're going to love this. I know we got to hit a break. My freshman year at Bradley Central High School was 1975. That was my freshman year, the fall of 75. I graduated the spring of 79. There was a guy at Bradley that had fought in the Vietnam War, okay? Now, he was not allowed to play athletics because of his age. I guess back then, he could either finish your high school or get your GED. He decided to come back and finish high school. Supposedly, he was like a Marine or some kind of a really bad dude. The football players wouldn't mess with this dude. He was like 25, 24 years old, and he walked and people just kind of get out of his way. He walked with a lot of arrogance.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you what that guy's name was right now that meant my life. But I remember I was in awe of this guy because he just looked like a bad dude. I'm talking about bad one in a good way. And I'm like, this dude, he carries himself where even the toughest guys on the football team, they're like, yes, sir. What can I do? Can I help you do something? It was so fun. Yeah, that was a different world back then. Let's go ahead and hit a break. You're listening to The Drive here on ESPN Cleveland. When we come back, we're going to get a little bit more into the other playoff games happening on Saturday. You're listening to The Drive here on ESPN Radio.
The Drive will be back after a quick timeout. Stay tuned for more nonstop sports talk on The Drive, presented by Hardees.
Right now, someone in a Hardee's kitchen is about to warm up your winter with the new grilled cheese bacon burger. Charbroiled 100% Angus beef, bacon, and Swiss and American cheese melting on our soft, buttery sourdough. And our new grilled cheese breakfast sandwich with sausage or bacon and a fried egg. Cozy up to the goodness of the new grilled cheese bacon burger and breakfast sandwich. For a limited time, only at Hardee's. Cinnamon Raisin Biscuits are back. Unwrap them while you can. Only for a limited time at participating restaurants.
Did you twist an ankle? Hurt your shoulder? Or maybe that weekend project left you with more than sore muscles? Center for Sports Medicine and Orthopedics is here to help. Our urgent ortho walk-in clinic in Cleveland is open Monday through Saturday, treating sprains, strains, fractures, and more. No appointment needed. There's no need to drive to Chattanooga for expert orthopedic care. Call, schedule online, or walk in today and get back to moving pain-free. Center for Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. The Center for expert care right when you need it.
Get your New Year's Eve fireworks at Davenport Fireworks, where everything is half price. Everything. Davenport Fireworks, located on Dalton Pike at the state line. Everything is half price. Happy New Year from Davenport Fireworks.
No more varicose or spider veins. No more tired, achy, restless legs. No more restless nights. Start your journey to a better you with help from Milligan Vein Clinic. Their board-certified physicians have treated thousands of patients using the latest technologies to restore healthy, great-looking legs. There's little or no downtime, and your procedure is covered by most insurance. Milligan Vein Clinic, improving the quality of your life. Visit milliganvein.com or call Dr. James Gooden today at 423-961-5682.
When an emergency happens, every second counts. That is why Park Ridge Health System is working to bring a new, high-quality, 24/7 freestanding emergency room right here to Cleveland. This ER will expand access for families in Cleveland and Bradley County, and it will give Polk County something it doesn't have today: dependable, around-the-clock emergency care. Together, we can make it happen. Visit ParkRidgeClevelandER.com to learn more and add your voice in support. That's ParkRidgeClevelandER.com.
ESPN Cleveland 1013 is powered by Duracell.
Cleveland, the all-new Select Flooring and Remodeling is now open at 5555 North Lee Highway. We carry the top flooring brands you know and trust: Mohawk, Shaw, Engineer Floors, and United Weavers. We also specialize in home remodeling and roofing, delivering quality you can count on. Take advantage of 24 months interest-free credit. Come see us Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, and Saturday, 9 to 2. Call us today at 423-889-3007. That's Select Flooring and Remodeling, 5555 North Lee Highway, Cleveland. From the floors to the roof, we've got you covered.
When the road gets tough, make sure your ride is ready at Cleveland Tire Center on North Lee Highway. They keep you rolling with the best brands, expert installation, and prices that fit every budget. Whether you need new tires, a quick rotation, or a full alignment, their certified team delivers fast, friendly service you can trust. Stop in today and feel the difference that quality makes. Cleveland Tire Center. Locally owned, dependable, and always ready to get you back on the road. Cleveland Tire Center. 4695 North Lee Highway, Cleveland, where the name says it all.
Get your New Year's Eve fireworks at Davenport Fireworks, where everything is half price. Everything. Davenport Fireworks, located on Dalton Pike at the state line. Everything is half price. Happy New Year from Davenport Fireworks.
When it comes to Mayfield Dairy Ice Cream, you'll never have a boring bite. Their limited edition ice creams, cherry chocolate chip and banana pudding, are inspired by traditional Southern recipes and seasonal favorites. Pick some up today at your local grocery store. And yesterday, Jacob showed me this video that has now gone viral of this little kid here in the state of Tennessee, not sure where. The school was on stage singing Rocky Top, and this little kid shaking his head. No way, not singing it. And
yeah, David Pollack has the interview of the year.
Yep, he does.
This is one of the best interviews that I've ever seen, and would have been me as a kid. This
yeah, I thought about you when I saw it. I said, "This is Jacob Mason as a child."
And I'll be honest, it got sent to me multiple times, and I said, "This is child abuse. Like this is straight." No, it's all in fun heart.
It's hilarious.
We're gonna play a little clip of it. I think his name is Nolan McGill.
All right, Nolan
teacher
McGill
had us sing a whole bunch of songs.
Okay.
And one of those songs was Rocky Top, sadly. And I'm never going to sing that trash, so.
Why won't you sing Rocky Top?
It's a horrible song. Who knows?
And so Kirby Smart has said that if it doesn't cut into their NIL budget too much, they're going to try to build a statue of this young man outside the stadium. Hopefully they'll have it up in 2 years before they play the Vols again.
That is hilarious, man.
Isn't it awesome how much, like, even kids love college sports? Like, I'm sure.
Well, he's influenced by his dad, obviously.
Yes.
Well, I guess it could be his mom.
Or mom, too. Yeah. But, he's a little Dogs fan and, standing strong here in Vols country.
I think it's really, I love to talk to kids, and I'll see them wearing gear of some school that's not from this area, and I'll just make small talk. I said, "So you're a Virginia Cavaliers fan? How'd you become them?" and some of the reasons and some of the reasoning is so ironic. Kids that are born and raised right here in Bradley County. I've seen kids. USC. I know one kid, a huge USC fan. He started following the Trojans back when Reggie Bush was there and Matt Leinart and all those guys. And to this day, he loves USC. You're a Raiders fan, just out of the blue. I just think it's so cool to find out the reasons why kids choose certain teams. That's their team.
Yeah, well, mine's indoctrinating. I've started indoctrinating my little one already. I showed you a video yesterday of Graham saying, I said, what if somebody says Roll Tide to you? And he's, no, that don't sound good. Go Dogs. What if somebody says,
you showed me that.
What if somebody says go Vols? And he's like, no, that don't sound good. That don't sound good. Go Dogs. So, we love a little fandom around here, and it's in the peak of college football season. We've got a big game tonight, Oklahoma and Alabama. But we've talked a little bit about that. Both of us kind of feel the same way. You think that Alabama's going to win this game?
I'm taking, now that we're less than 2 hours away, or right around 2 hours away, I'm going Roll Tide. I think Alabama's going to find a way to get the win in Norman, Oklahoma.
Okay, I'm going to go the opposite then. I don't know what if we get the Alabama that showed up in Athens, Alabama walks away with this easy. If we get the Alabama that showed up in Mercedes-Benz 2 weeks ago,
and that's the thing that scares me because they look so bad.
Yeah, it's going to be a very similar outcome because of Oklahoma's defense being as good. So I'm going to go Oklahoma because I know what I'm getting with that Oklahoma defense and that Oklahoma front seven. So you're taking Bama. I'm taking Boomer Sooners.
All right, tomorrow at noon you got Miami, the number 10 seed, at the number 7 seed, Texas A&M, high noon on ESPN. Of course, by the way, all these games are going to be carried here on ESPN here in Cleveland.
So this one may ruffle some feathers, being here in SEC country. Texas A&M played two teams really all year long that were worth anything.
Texas being one of them.
And Notre Dame being the other. And they really, and that's what, I hate it for my friend Andy over here. Notre Dame threw that game
missed
away.
Extra point. That game's going to overtime.
Yeah, that Notre Dame threw that game away. And so I don't know that Texas A&M is truly battle tested. I don't know they are. But is Miami either? I don't know. You go ahead, and I'm going
to go Miami because I like the quarterback better. And there's nothing wrong with Marcel Reed. Don't get me wrong. But I think that Carson Beck is the better of the two quarterbacks. I think he's going to have a good game if he does not throw multiple interceptions. I think Texas A&M's going to have trouble stopping this Miami offense. And defensively, Miami's okay. They can rise up from time to time. And that's a really good offense that Texas A&M has. I think that's going to be a somewhat high-scoring game. I could see a 35-31 final score there. But I like Miami on the road.
All right.
That's two road teams I'm going with.
So since you're going there, I'm going to flip. I was going to go Miami, but I'm going to flip my answer. I'm going to go Texas A&M. Give me the home field advantage. Give me Kyle Field.
So you're going
12th man.
Undefeated home teams in the first round once again, as we saw last year.
Yeah, I'm going to go. I'm going to go home team. I do think Miami could win this game. This is the game that I think everybody. And what stinks is it's going to be played at 12 o'clock tomorrow. I think that should be the night game. This is the key mark game on tomorrow's schedule.
And the reason is, this because the NFL's got a game kicking off at 4 and another one at at 5 and then 8:20. They want the two trash games, if you want to call that, two first-round trash games going against the NFL because they know they're going to lose the ratings battle anyway. ESPN, by the way, is carrying the first two games. The 4 o'clock and the 8 o'clock games are going to be on True TV, TNT, HBO Max. So those games will not be on ESPN. Fox is carrying two NFL games simultaneously up against those last two playoff games. NFL's going to crush them in ratings, unfortunately, but that's just reality.
So yeah,
So you're going all four home teams?
Yeah, I am. I'm going to. I do think I really. The only one that I'm truly struggling with is this Miami-Texas A&M game because I do think that there's a world where Miami feels like they have something to prove here. I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm going to take Texas A&M. I'm going to go. Originally, I said I'm going to ruffle some feathers. I'm not going to ruffle any feathers. I'm going to stick with the SEC team, and I'm going to go home team, Kyle Field, 12th man. Give it to me.
Okay. So I told you who I think's going to win. Who will I be rooting for? That's going to be different.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I think Alabama's going to win, and the reason I'm going to pull for Oklahoma is because Oklahoma's never won a playoff game. They're 0-4 all time. This is the 5th time Oklahoma has made the playoffs since 2014, since the CFP came into existence. Obviously, Georgia beat Oklahoma. They've never won a playoff game. They're 0-4. I'm like, I'd like to see those guys at least get a win in the postseason.
I'll be honest.
And Alabama's had a ton of success.
Luckily, my uncle lives in Nashville. He's from Alabama. He's a big Alabama fan. So he's not going to hear this. I love chaos. Give me chaos to talk about. If they lose to Oklahoma again, and Caleb, we're going to hear about Kalen DeBoer's future.
I'm telling you, man.
We're going to hear about it. So give me the chaos. I secretly, yeah, I'm rooting for the Sooners.
All right, listen to this. Here's a good stat here. Kalen DeBoer, the head coach of Alabama. Brent Venables, head coach of Oklahoma. Brent Venables, let me do Kalen DeBoer's career one-loss record is 123-19. That's pretty darn impressive. So he's only lost 19 games in 11 seasons. Brent Venables is 32-19 in 4 seasons. He's already lost as many games at Oklahoma as Kalen DeBoer has lost in his 11-year career.
Which are two different types.
That's why I think Kalen DeBoer's a really good coach, and I'd be crazy to get rid of this guy.
They're two different career paths too, though. Like, we're talking a guy that started down in the lower ranks and worked his way up, and has just been very successful. He's been successful.
He took Washington to the national championship game.
Right, but we're talking about a guy who went from being the defense coordinator at Clemson to taking over, the Oklahoma Sooners after Lincoln Riley left. So it's two different paths to get to where they are. I think Brett Venables is starting to settle in his role at, we talked about it earlier this year. He could have been on the hot seat.
I'm going to say this. I think the loser of tonight's game is back on that hot seat.
How can you put, and that's the thing. This is
I'm just saying, man, those fan bases are so spoiled.
They are. These two teams are top 12 teams.
And they're in the playoffs. I know. I shouldn't say that, but I am.
We're talking, and the Alabama fans are, like, let's just be honest. They're incredibly spoiled because they just came off of the Nick Saban era.
Listen to this. If Alabama loses, they lost 4 games last year. When was the last time you saw Alabama lose 4 games in a season?
2006.
And then they'll do it again, back-to-back years. First 2 years under DeBoer. The fans in Alabama, it would take 6 years for Nick Saban to lose, 8 games.
Yeah.
This could be happening in 2 years at Alabama if they lose this game.
Yeah.
I'm telling it would not, this fan base, they're so spoiled. I believe that Alabama is the most spoiled fan base in college football, and they deserve to be labeled that because Nick Saban's the greatest coach that's ever been.
Well, and then they're like other teams that claim a bunch of national titles, but they have 18 on record.
They've got some legitimate wins.
Yeah,
here in our lifetime. I mean, for crying out loud, Nick Saban won 6 at Alabama in his career. Bear Bryant won a boatload in his career. Now, the 73, don't get me started on that one. In 73, the UPI voted Alabama national champions. They go to the Sugar Bowl, lost to Notre Dame. Notre Dame wins the AP, but they still claim the UPI coaches poll because they gave that before the bowls. That was last year, by the way, that happened. But so there are some of those like that, but most of the time that Alabama has claimed the national championship, it's legit. There's a few of them out there you're like, oh, come on now. The ones kind of like what Auburn did this year after the fact, retroactively claiming national championships. I'm like, come on, man, don't do that.
You take even if you take those ones that were like about, they still lead.
They still got most of anyone.
Yeah. So like they're a spoiled fan base because they are used to winning.
Would you consider Alabama to being the greatest college football program of all time?
Yes.
I do too.
Yeah.
I think they're number one. I think Notre Dame is in the top 2 or 3. I don't know if they're 2 or 3, but they're up there. Ohio State's up there. Georgia's up there. USC. You've got your blue bloods. Oklahoma's way up there too. By the way, Oklahoma's top 5.
Yeah.
Oklahoma maybe top 3.
Yeah.
So you got 2 of the greatest programs in the all time facing off tonight. I cannot wait. I think this game's going to be fun as all get out. Well, Jacob, man, I have had a blast with you, man, and I hope everyone out there has a great weekend. Hey, hopefully we'll have some good football to talk about on Monday. You're listening to The Drive here on ESPN Cleveland. We'll see everyone at 5 o'clock on Monday.
Your new home for 24-hour sports coverage. ESPN Cleveland 1013. It's time for a Don Ledford of Cleveland traffic update on ESPN Cleveland 1013. Don Ledford Chevrolet Buick GMC.